Mr. Speaker, the United States Senator John Tester awaits entrance to the chamber.
The Sergeant of Arms will please admit Senator John Tester into the House chambers. Members, it is with great pleasure that I present the Honorable John Tester.
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker Hertz, Leader Cheetah, and Leader Schreiner. It is a pleasure to be here in the People's House. I will tell you that there's a lot of new faces. Welcome to the freshman legislators. This is an incredible learning experience that the veterans will already know, but you've got a lot of work to do, and I wish you all the very best this legislative session. You are amongst one of the greatest bodies in the United States, and I don't say that because I'm from Montana. I say it because it's a fact. We in Montana have a citizen legislature the way the forefathers had asked us to set it up, the way they thought it should be set up, where we elect our neighbors to represent us in the House and the Senate of this great state. And we come to Helena every 2 years for 90 days and we make laws. And we don't make enough money to support ourselves, so we have to go back and have a real job. And we have to live under those rules that we have created. And so I say congratulations to you for being a part of this great body. And just know this, you're at the beginning of the session. As you move forward and this session gets a little wild, you will not be the craziest legislative branch in this country. The United States Senate will bump you off of that hill, I guarantee you. Look, you've got a lot of important issues here to talk about during this session, and I'm just going to touch on a few and talk about, I hesitate to do this because when Conrad Burns and Max Baucus used to come and I was sitting in those chairs and they used to talk to me, I used to go, come on, man, we're going to do what we're going to do anyway, and you will. But here's a little advice as we move forward from the U.S. Senate perspective. The big issue you have to deal with, one of them is Medicaid, so we might as well just start. A couple of years ago, this legislature passed Medicaid expansion. And if you're after dollars and cents, it's been pretty successful. It has saved the state some $58 million. It has generated some $47 million in revenue, and it has kept about $270 million in the pockets of Montanans. And I know that there is talk here to reduce it in some form, maybe even eliminate it by some. I would say to those of you that will make that decision, which is all of you, don't make it a political issue, make it an issue about people. After the election in 2016, I went around the state and had a series of roundtables on health care. And I talked to many of the patients and doctors and hospital officials around this state. And one of the patients that I talked to told me a story that is I remember vividly. He was from Butte, and he was about 40 years old. And he said, look, I've had some level of diabetes my whole life, and I've never been able to get it taken care of. He said, by his own admission, I've had some level of mental health issues since I've been an adult, and I've never been able to get that taken care of. And then the legislature passed Medicaid expansion. And he said, I was able to get my diabetes under control for the first time in my life. And he said I was able to go see a psychologist and get my mental health issues squared away. And he said, and then, for the first time in my adult life, I've been able to get a job and hold a job and support my family. That's what I mean when we talk about people instead of politics. Make sure if the effort is to reduce the number of people on Medicaid expansion, ask yourself what's going to happen to those 40 or 50,000 that get their health care taken away, because they've had health care and it's going to be very difficult for them. If it is to eliminate the program, I would ask you to take a look at your small hospitals around this state. I live close to one. I live about 15 miles from my small hospital. If it closes, the next hospital is 50 miles away one way. You know that. You're from Montana. Many of you have further distances than that. So we need to be careful, not only at the state level, but the federal level. But since I'm talking to you, you need to be careful. Because if these hospitals close in many of these small communities, they will never, and I mean never, be opened up again. So good luck. Good luck with the debate on Medicaid and what you're going to do with it. The second issue I want to talk about is education. Now we're hitting the two biggies, right? I promise I will not talk about corrections. Education, K-12 education, and I have the incredible honor to introduce to you today Tyler Ream, who is the superintendent of Helena Schools. And Tyler, would you stand up? Tyler's from Texas, and I know that has a ring, but Tyler from Montana's got a pretty good ring too. Tyler's got a lot of challenges as he puts forth his budget for his school district, the way every school district in the state of Montana has. And why this is important is because K-12 education is the foundation of our democracy. Democracies don't work well with an illiterate society, so we'll start there. But as you talk about the monies that you're going to put into K-12 education, remember this. Every dollar that you don't put in is a dollar that local property taxes will have to make up. And I also ask you to remember this, that if you think back in your life, your parents aside, your brothers and sisters aside, who the most influential people in your life has been, my guess is it's probably a teacher. These are very important people in our society, very important people in our country. And I can tell you right now, there are far too many teachers in our state that are Medicaid eligible or on food stamps. That's unacceptable. If we want to get the best people in the classroom, we have to be competitive with other sectors in the business world in Montana. So good luck as you put forth your proposals for funding for K-12 education. It is critically important as we move our state forward in this 21st century economy. And as far as higher ed goes, it's the same thing. The dollars that are put in, if they're not there, the student makes them up. And I will tell you that there are plenty of stories, and they're not just stories, they are fact, about young people graduating from college with $30,000 and $40,000 and $50,000 in debt, not because they're living extravagantly. It's because higher education costs that much. And for some of you, myself included, if you roll back to when you were a senior in high school, would you have really went off and got that degree in higher education, the ones of us that have one? In my particular case, I don't know that I would have. Because who wants to be in debt so you can't buy a house, you can't buy a car, you can't start your family? And that's not the way it should be. We should be encouraging people to go to college, to be trained. It will help drive our economy. It will help drive small businesses. It will help drive our entrepreneur sector moving forward. So good luck in higher ed. You know what? The thing about both of these, whether you're talking Medicaid or you're talking about education, it costs money. Can't do it for free. I haven't found out anybody who can. So you've got tough decisions to make. Another issue that Montana leads the nation in, and that we should not lead the nation in, is suicide. We are number one in the country in suicide. That's for a number of reasons. Isolation, not enough providers on the ground. I can tell you that I did not look through all the bills that have been dropped in for this legislative session, but hopefully there's something that's being done at this level to be able to address the issue of suicide. I've worked at the federal level to try to get more slots for psychiatrists. I've worked at the federal level to try to reduce higher education costs with Pell so we can get more people going into psychology and more people going into doing social work. But the bottom line is that if we don't do some things proactively to help reduce this plague that is upon us, it will not get better. And it is up to all of us, local, state, and federal levels. So do what you can do. Our veterans, I don't have to tell you, we lead the nation in the number of veterans per capita in the state of Montana. We have been at war for 18 years. Our medical crew is doing a tremendous job in the field and theater, and our folks are coming back more than ever with injuries that they have been able to survive from, and that's great. Some seen, some unseen. But if there are opportunities out there to help our veterans, whether it's reduction in tuition costs or whether it's tax credits for businesses who employ them, I would encourage you to do that. We lead the nation in the number of people who sign up, too. That can be debated, but I'll take that statistic for us. And so we're proud. We're proud of our military. We're proud of the folks who serve. And so look forward to seeing what can transpire in that area. And now my last issue, and this is an easy one. Presumptive for firefighters. You have an opportunity here to do right by our first responders. Look, guys, and some of you are firefighters, some of you are volunteer, and some of you are paid. But these are the folks that go running into danger as we run away from it. These are the folks that are exposed to toxins like every day. These are the folks that end up having issues, health issues revolving around their service as a firefighter that, quite frankly, we have an obligation to make sure we handle it. And I would hope that as you move forth, that you're able to get the Senate to work with the House to get the presumptive issues settled. I think it's critically important moving forward. Look, guys, you got about 78 days, and gals, you've got about 78 days to get things done. I would ask you only one thing: make Montana proud. God bless you, and God bless Montana.